All right, well, welcome to our live stream today. Like most people that are in the event business, all the work has kind of screamed to a halt. So we're getting creative and just trying to have a little bit of fun and lean into this a little bit. So today I have Dan Kirk with me, the juggler with the yellow shoes. And I've known Dan for quite some time. And I thought it'd be fun to sit down and talk with him. But I'm also looking to talk with you. So if you are in the Fox Cities, even if we've never met, I would love to sit down, interview you, and find out a little bit more about what you do, how you've been affected by the coronavirus, and what you're doing to kind of keep life fun for you and your family. So I am going to bring my good friend Dan Kirk. Okay, a little bit of interruption there, not sure what happened, but I'm just going to, we're just going to pick up with, this is my good friend Dan Kirk, juggler with yellow shoes, and I had started off by asking, did you ever think that we would be going through coronavirus or a pandemic?
Never anything like this I thought would ever interrupt my occupation in any way. Never thought. No.
It's crazy. Kimberly and I have often talked about, we've got a fairly diversified video production company. All of our eggs aren't in the same basket, but they kind of are, because primarily what we do is event work, and that has stopped. We're living in interesting times. But Dan, how long have you been juggling for?
I have been performing full time for 27 years. So this is my 28th year performing.
28 years.
Yeah.
And as you made a point there that it's not just juggling. You're a performer. So tell me a little bit more about what you do in a show.
Well, I'm an entertainer, a family entertainer, a speaker, and a school assembly expert. So I mostly do school assemblies this time of the year. That's my winter work, my fall work, my spring work. But what's in a show is, well, I'm kind of funny. People tell me that. My favorite comment from a teenager, he says, "You're really funny sometimes." I said, "That's perfect. That's all I want to be, is funny sometimes." So that works. So for school stuff, I mix education with entertainment. So yeah. I'll bring in my most popular show this year so far, this school year, is my Stop Bullying presentation. So I have facts and personal stories about bullying and what to do if you are bullied, if you see bullying happening, if it's happening to you, and all those steps that go with the bullying thing and preventing bullying and educating on bullying, along with making it fun. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about best and worst show you've ever had.
Best show. I've had a lot of good shows. You can value best shows depending on, as a juggler, did I drop? Did I not drop? So I kept track for quite a while. I kept track of, over the years, of how many perfect shows I've had where I didn't mess up in the performance, in the juggling. And right now, if I'm really thinking, it's in those 28 years, I think 11. 11 kind of stands out.
That's kind of funny. In our video production company, we're the same way. We've often said there's no such thing as a perfect shoot. And I remember we were shooting a lockdown, 3-camera lockdown at the Lawrence Chapel for when they installed one of their new presidents. And it's super simple. Nobody had to touch their cameras, and the show's going great. I'm like, wow, we're going to finally have a perfect shoot. And one guy's camera just shakes. I'm like, did you kick your tripod? He goes, yeah, I'm sorry. So yeah, it's pretty seldom that we have a perfect shoot. But the good news is, I've seen your show many, many, many times, and what you consider perfect is different than what the audience considers perfect. They're not looking to see that you are technically the most perfect juggler or whatever. So.
I'll even ask. Yeah. I'll ask people, so did I mess up in this show? And they'll be like, no. I'll be, yeah, I did. But if you're good enough, it shouldn't really matter. You move on. So what? Right. Yeah. So what? So good shows for me are those when I really engage the audience, and that they're really into it. So I've had that with 50 people at a county fair who just everybody thinks it's the best, and then I've had that with 1,000 students at a middle school. I mean, that was very memorable to me, the middle school that I did, and having over 900 students in one show, and just going over so well. So that was really great.
Do you feel you perform better when there's more people watching?
I do. I get the energy from the audience. I just feel it. So, and you did mention bad shows.
Yeah, worst show. Let's hear it.
You mentioned bad shows. Well, there's certain shows that just me, are like, "Are you kidding?" Just from the audience, just, "Are you kidding?" Some nudity involved.
What?
I mean, it's like, seriously.
This must have been a fair or something like
No,
that.
this was at a school.
What?
That's why it's just like, you got to stop this. You got to stop this kid.
Well, yeah, let's skip past that. I think we're breaking some laws here. So,
Well, no, from an audience person, yeah.
Right,
It's like,
right.
and then I've had the bodily fluids, the person wetting themselves, the person vomiting,
Yeah.
that sort of thing during the show, which
Yeah.
then everyone turns their head to look at. Well, what's going on over there?
yeah, there's no amount of tricks is really gonna make up for the smell and the sound.
Yeah.
And the spectacle.
Right. So that's one aspect of bad shows, and then there's the injury aspect of a bad show.
Yeah.
So, tearing my cartilage in a show, just not doing nothing really spectacular, just sliding myself to the left and feeling something get caught in the knee and just tearing, basically. And then I'm at the end of the show. I finished the show. I had about 10 minutes left of the show. I finished the show with all the weight on my left leg. And then when the show was done, I just sat down and asked if I could have a wheelchair. And people are like, "What?
They think
really?"
it's a joke or
yeah,
something.
They think it's. And I was like, "No, I'm serious." And this was a school performance in the Chicago area.
Wow.
And they got me a wheelchair. They helped me load all my stuff up. And then I had to drive home. And that's, over 100 miles, around 200 miles or so I had to drive. And so this becomes funny because I had to stop at a wayside because I needed to go to the bathroom. So, and I didn't change out of the yellow shoes or what I was wearing, and I was hopping around just to get into the wayside in the bathroom. And I was like, all right, maybe God's laughing here. We can laugh. I'll laugh along with it.
Hey, Dan, tell the story about how you started off becoming a juggler. Like, why? I mean, how does someone, like, let's say I'm a kid, I want to get into juggling, but I mean, that's usually, and actually I did juggle as a kid, but at no point did I say, hey, I'm going to go become a juggler for my life. I mean, this is what you do.
Sure.
And again, not just juggling, but this is what you do as your main source of income.
Yeah.
So how did it all start?
Well, I was 16 years old when the juggling bug bit me. It came in the form of a television commercial where two guys were juggling cans of frozen orange juice back and forth in a juggling pattern. And I thought, wow, I'd love to do that, but fat chance, even if I knew how to juggle, I was scared to death of standing in front of an audience,
Right.
all because of something that happened 3 years earlier. And what happened 3 years earlier was I was in the 7th grade, and our entire class had to memorize a poem. And it was the longest thing I ever memorized. It was Robert Frost, Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening. I had to memorize that thing, and it's like 4 stanzas. And the teacher asked for someone to go first, and I shot my hand up first because I wanted to get it over with. And I could feel my throat just getting tight and my underarms getting all wet and just being really nervous and anxious. And I go up there and I grip the podium. And I start to talk, and I'm able to do it. I get through it, and I look over at the teacher for her approval, and she said, "You certainly could have done better than that."
Oh my gosh.
And with that, I sank into my seat. I just wanted to hide, disappear, and just be gone forever.
Oh.
And I found out after that I couldn't read in class. I didn't want to participate in class, but I knew I had to participate. So I figured out if I knew the answer and if I was 100% sure the answer, I would raise my hand. I could get called on, give the correct answer. I wouldn't have the attention on me. It would just be over. No snickering, sneering, laugh, whatever. Just get it over with. So I kind of became known as the smart kid.
Okay.
Right? So then, I go on to school, continue school. 16 years old, I'm in the basement at the neighbor's house. And my brother comes out of Terry's room and he says, "Hey, Terry just taught me how to juggle." And I'm like, "Really? I want to learn how to juggle." So I went in Terry's room. Terry had golf balls. Golf balls hurt when they hit you. So I thought, well, that's probably why I learned quickly. But, 16, I found out I'm pretty well coordinated. And I was actually juggling. I made about 10 throws in about 10 to 15 minutes
Wow.
with the golf balls.
Wow.
So I went home, found tennis balls, and would count every throw that I would make. And by the end of the week, I was up to over 100 throws. And then I thought I'd create some tricks. So I was just trying like under the leg or behind the back or just some different patterns. And I had a brilliant idea of going to the library and checking out some books on juggling. They had 2 of them. And I found out all the tricks I made up. Someone had given names and put in a book. So
did that make you feel like you were on the right track?
It did. It made me feel a little smaller, thinking, I was like, wow, I'm really good at this. And then, no, there's like 100 different tricks with names and and patterns and how to do it. So it certainly wasn't a career choice then. It was something that I did alone a lot of, just by myself and for my close friends. I went to college to become a chemist because, well, I like chemistry. It was fun. Math was okay. High school did a pretty poor job of letting me know what sort of career options were out there, and I liked it. But after a year of chemistry, my dad came to me. He worked in the graphic arts industry for Abanta Corporation, and he's like, Dan, we're doing a test. They're giving a test out. They're looking for people to get in the program to use a mouse and do computer graphics, all this new stuff.
Okay.
So I took the test. And I did really well, and the personality test matched up pretty good with graphic arts, and I got hired. So it's like, well, cool, you go to school to get a good job, and, well, this is a good job, so I can do school later. And I got laid off. 2 years later, got laid off. It didn't go like they expected. They expected it to take off, and it really didn't take off. It's a lot of new stuff and just a lot of work. Some of the old traditional stuff went quicker than the computer. So I got permanent layoff, so I thought, well, I got another job in the graphic arts industry, but it was more physical stuff. It really wasn't what I was looking for, and they got laid off there anyway. But then I thought, well, I'll go back to school for it. So I'm going to school for graphic arts, and I'm working at another graphics place doing some stuff, which is fine. I liked it, and talking to the owners, they're like, well, when you graduate from school, it's like graduating from here. It's like, really? It's like, all right. But I'd gotten laid off, and I just really broke down, and I said, God, my plan isn't working out. What's your plan? And God spoke to me and said, be a juggler. And I was like, really? Is that really you? Is that really you? Because this is going to be hard to explain to people. So I was like, all right, God, if that's really you talking to me, I'll give you 3 years of my life to make it happen. And well, God can do anything, but I needed 3 years of my life to overcome all my anxieties that I had created. I had gotten involved in the martial arts at the end of high school, and that was wonderful for me. The movement and the kicking, and as a white belt, you're expected to know nothing, and it was a gradual progression. So became a black belt, and I had to be up in front of people, and I helped teach class, and sometimes taught whole classes, and it wasn't bad. I didn't die, Right. It was okay. So that helped. I started to do jobs that I feared, like being a waiter. I had to approach strangers and take their order, and that just always terrified me. So I forced myself to do that, and then again, it was okay. I did okay. And I had an opportunity to be a guest DJ on WIXX out of Green Bay. So
cool.
So it's like, all right, I'll do it. So I get there. So I could just feel the anxiety build up in me. And when it came time to talk, nothing came out.
Oh gosh.
It's like I never experienced that before. I haven't experienced that again. And I've read up on it. That's something that mentally happens to people
kind
at
of like
times.
Stage fright?
Yeah, kind of. It just I became mute. I couldn't talk, and the other DJ there, he bailed me out. Then I started to get some words back, and by the end of it, I was rolling, just talking and having a good time, and it was great. And there again, I didn't die, so I came out.
So I'm sure you remember the first paid gig you've ever had. So, at some point you go from practicing a lot, maybe performing in front of someone that's willing to watch you. But tell me about the first time you ever got paid to perform a show.
I actually remember my very first gig, and I'm not even sure if they paid me. But my very first gig was for the Salvation Army having a Christmas dinner.
Okay.
My mother's company worked it sponsored it.
Yeah.
So the whole company was fronting the money for it, and the Salvation Army was doing the work and lining up the people. And my mom came to me. It's like, I know you're trying out the juggling thing, and how about doing a show at this dinner? She's like, you don't have to talk. You just get up there
and juggle.
Just do 10 minutes. Just do 10 minutes. And I was like, okay, I'll do this. So I get there. 800 people were there. 800 people.
Yeah, when you said the Salvation Army's banquet, I'm like, yeah, that's big.
Yeah, 800 people were there. They had this little stage set up, like in the middle of it. So I was trying to mentally go through that. Really, there's not a lot of people watching because half the people are just doing something else. Half of those people are using the bathroom. Half of those people are talking. Yeah. So, there's 20. There's 20. Okay. There's 20 watching me. Well, when I finished, my big trick at the end, I juggled a bowling ball.
Okay.
And when I finished, just everyone clapped. The whole place clapped for me, and I was like, "Wow, that was really cool."
And then you were hooked.
Yeah. Then I was hooked.
Yeah.
I was hooked. Did the anxiety go away? No, not really. You get the pre-show stuff, but by doing it more and more, it's
you kind of learned to embrace it.
Yeah, it's certainly much better. And like doing the martial arts, I learned that the anxiety isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
It's not a bad thing. If it can be bad, but it doesn't have to be bad. You can change it in your head that this is an okay feeling.
Yep.
I don't like it, but it's really not going to mess me up. It's okay.
It's going to come out one way or another. You're either going to or you're going to throw the ball up a little more aggressively or something like that.
Yeah.
What's the strangest thing you've ever juggled?
Strangest thing I would say would be a lawn chair.
Oh, yeah, that's a little strange. Was anybody sitting in it?
No one's sitting in it at the time. No one was hurt in the making of that. I used to do a bit when I don't know if you remember the Flying Karamazov brothers.
Yeah, absolutely. Love those guys. Yeah. I watched them. I watched that show so many times.
Yeah. Well, when they were out, they would do a thing where they would take things from the audience. So I started doing that too, where I would pick certain things from the audience, and then the audience would vote on it, and then I'd have to make 3 throws of each object of the 3 things that get chosen to say I'm successful.
Right.
So yeah. So one of those things at a festival, somebody had a lawn chair, one of those aluminum folding lawn chairs, and they wanted to see if I could do it, and I did. It was very challenging. I had 2 smaller objects that on purpose, that I could easily hold to go along with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And you did it.
And I did it.
Nice.
Yeah. I did it. And the response from the audience was not nearly as good as it should have been.
Right.
Yeah, because that was hard.
So when you go to a show, though, it's not necessarily people, or when you do a gig, it's not, you have different ways different programs, right? So it's not just you, and it doesn't have to be just you in front of an audience. You also have some some clinics that I've seen you do.
I can do I call them workshops. So just a couple weeks ago, I was in Arizona, and I performed for a middle school group in Arizona, and I was fortunate. Not many schools actually do this, but they let me work with the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. It was a small school, so I got to meet with all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and do a hands-on juggling workshop where I just break it down into steps. And in movement, it's good movements. You can do cross-lateral repatterning. It helps with the right brain, left brain connection by throwing things across the pattern and movement across. So I get to help with that. It helps with focus, concentration, even helps improve reading. When I was in 10th grade, I was put in what I call stupid English. All my friends went into this higher English, but I had to do spelling, and I was a slow reader. My spelling was horrible. I learned to juggle in 10th grade, at the beginning of 10th grade. At the middle of 10th grade, my teacher said I should be in the spelling bee. She was like, "You're my best speller. You're really good. You should be in the spelling bee." I was like, "No, thanks. I'm terrified." I didn't say I'm terrified. I was just, I don't think I want to do that. So I didn't.
Your story really kind of highlights how far we've come as a society. I think that we've learned to use kind of other words and try to drop the stigma that goes with people that have a learning disability. It sounds like the teacher that you had, unfortunately, had done quite a bit of damage to you early on.
Right.
But yet you overcame it. It's a great story. so I want to switch subjects a little bit.
Okay.
And we can come back to this if you want. But
Sure.
I want to talk about fishing.
Oh, I love talking about fishing.
Yeah. So you would fish. You would fish every day if you could.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
How many days in a row have you? What's your record of the number of days in a row that you've gone fishing?
Oh man, I honestly
Estimate.
I feel guilty if I fish 2 consecutive days. Often if I now if I'm guiding, I mean I throw that out the window because I'm getting paid to fish, but. That's different, but probably 14.
Nice. I was going to say, to be clear, even if you feel guilty, you still will fish 2 days in a row, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's also, do you go out in a boat fishing, or just do you count any fishing?
Right.
I mean, if you count any fishing, it could be a month. Because right across the street's a lake.
Right.
And when it's happening, I'll go down there for 30 minutes at lunchtime and just cast from shore. And if I'm doing well, every fish caught gives me 5 to 10 more minutes of fishing. It's a little game I play.
So you and I have gone fishing together, and I've got 2 stories I want to share. My 2 favorite memories of fishing with Dan Kirk. And by the way, you're a captain now.
I am Captain Kirk.
And you actually have another business where you will take people out on as a guided tour.
Yep.
So we're going to come back to that. But first I want to share my 2 stories.
All right.
First one was, and this is what I love about fishing with you. You get so excited when the other people in the boat catch fish. And I like to be competitive with it, or maybe a little bit more in my past. I've been a little too busy for getting super competitive, but you're happy when a boat gets landed or when a fish gets landed in the boat, and it makes the other person feel really good. So you and I were where were we? The Wolf River.
The Wolf River out of New London.
Yeah, and we were right around the bend. Where a lot of people fish for walleye, but we were actually off to the side, almost near the wall, if I remember right.
I think so, yeah.
Or the shore, and I get something on my line. I'm bringing it in. It's a good size, decent sized fish. It was a bass, and I don't think we were catching a ton on that day. I can't remember, but anyway, bring it in, and we get it in the boat.
It was a nice bass too. Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah. And, we look in it. I'm taking the lure, or maybe you were taking it out. I can't remember. One of us is taking it out, taking the hook out. And we look in the gullet, and we see tail sticking out of its gullet. Like it had just eaten something. And we could see that it was a little walleye because you could see the white tip on the tail. And then you said, tell everybody what you said to me.
Well, we typically release fish, so he's going to let it go. And I'm like, don't let it go yet until we weigh it. We got to weigh it first. Well, before you take the fish out, because he wanted to see the walleye.
Yeah,
so it's like, don't take the fish out. Let's weigh it first, because it'll weigh more.
And actually, we couldn't. As it turned out, we couldn't get the fish out because it was just locked down.
Just the way the fins are, and stuck in.
Yeah,
so.
That was one memory. The other one, you and I we had done a lot of fishing together that year, and fall fishing, generally pretty good. And we had a lot of luck fishing out in New London. And we would go up against the wall or, shore and hit the rocks on the way back. And we were fishing rock bass a lot. And we'd have fun. We'd catch 20, 30 fish, release them back and have a little contest. So anyway, we were going to go out and do that. It was in November. We go to get my boat. It was stored at my father-in-law's. And, we should have been tipped off by the fact that the chain to hook up the trailer was frozen into the ground.
Well, I know it was the plug. The boat plug was like, there's ice in there.
That should have tipped us off, but nope. We're like, hook her up. We get all the way over to New London, get to the docks. We're like, hey, wow, this is great. There's no one in there. No trailers. We pull up, and the whole lake river is just frozen over. I think we did I think we got our poles out, though. Didn't we go down by the ice? And
we went down where there was a little clearing and started fishing, but then it was somebody else's property who came out and asked us to leave. So
that's my
like, oh, okay, sorry.
That's my favorite memory. Tell me a little bit more about the guided service that you offer.
Well, I'm fishing with Captain Kirk LLC. Okay. So it's a legitimate business, and I am Dan Kirk, Captain Kirk. I did do the training to be a captain, so because Lake Winnebago system is federal water, so you have to be a captain's license in order to guide on federal water. So or else you don't have to. You just pay the $40 and say you're a fishing guide to the DNR. Which
Okay.
I also had to do that, but anybody can do that. And then, so I take people out mainly on the Winnebago system, which is the Fox River, the Wolf River, Lake Winnebago. I'm not an expert yet on the Big Lake Butamore, but I've got expertise on Winnebago, the Wolf River, and right now, Fox River. We can go out on the Fox River. Today was a little cold and windy. I wouldn't want to be out there, but I've been out there already. And last time out, we put 32 walleyes in the boat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And to be clear, obviously the whole state, the whole country is largely on lockdown, and there's rules we need to follow. Even when you came here today at the door, we had you use hand sanitizer. Before you got here, we wiped down all the handles. We have a bathroom that's just for you that was clean prior to you getting here. Clean it after you leave. Wipe down the table. But do you think, and I don't know if this applies or not, but could you have someone in your boat? Would you go out fishing? I mean, you could be far enough apart,
I mean,
right?
I think fishing and being out secluded on a body of water isn't a bad thing. So I'd consider it. I can launch the boat. You don't have to handle anything. I wipe down all the rods.
Yeah.
If we do the Fox River, we don't have to go fast, which means you could sit up front and be away from me.
Yeah.
And I'll net your fish, take your fish off, bait your hook, never have to come in contact with each other.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think you also, you'll provide gear, I think you might have mentioned that, but provide the pole and everything, right, if they need you to.
Yeah, pretty much everybody uses my stuff because I use good stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and maintain it and have extras. But if you've got a favorite rod you want to use, by all means, you can bring it, or a life vest that you want to use that I haven't touched in any way. Then,
right.
Yeah, sure.
Is this time of the year generally, I mean, you said you got 32 walleye in the boat the other day, so it's a good time of the year for fishing?
It's a good time of the year for fishing. Yep.
What's your favorite lake to fish?
What's my favorite lake
or
to
river.
fish? Or river. It depends on the time of the year. But, I would say Denorwick Lake in northwest Ontario.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's go to Canada. Favorites? That's awesome.
You've been up there a couple times.
15, 16 times, yeah.
Would you ever do a guided tour to Canada?
Absolutely. If you want to join me to Canada. And I've taken people, and I have somebody to take in fall, so hopefully it'll happen.
Yeah. How many times a year do you usually go to Canada?
2 or 3. I did 3 times last year.
Okay.
I planned on 3 this year. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Right. Well, like you said, being out alone on the lake, or with just one other person, that's probably a good place to be in a sense. And well, let's talk about coronavirus a little bit. So, both you and I were in the event business.
Yeah.
Kimberly and I kind of saw the writing on the wall. We feel like we stayed a day or so ahead of everything, and I'm saying that kind of tongue-in-cheek. But for example, before everything really started coming down and events getting canceled left and right, we had sent a notice out to all of our clients that for the shows coming up, and just told them, hey, we, even if you think people are overreacting, or if you think people are underreacting, this is happening. And you might not have a choice but to cancel your event. You might want to hold it. You might feel safe holding it. Not that they necessarily should, but at that point,
sure,
that's where people are at. And we just said, do you have a contingency? Here's some of the things that we could do. We could film your rehearsal without an audience. We could live stream it. We could do things like that. And then within 2 days, stuff just started happening. And so, tell me a little bit about your experience, what's happened and how you feel about it and that kind of stuff.
Well, I went to bed one night, and the next morning I get up and I hear that all the schools are closing. So, in a moment, I became self-unemployed.
Because a lot of your jobs, most of your jobs are school performances.
Pretty much everything this time of the year is school stuff. So, I was fortunate that I had some stuff right at the end of February and the beginning of March that I got in.
Yeah.
And now we're just canceling stuff. And then I was like, they say only like a few weeks out where they were saying schools were going to be closed. Well, it's going to be longer than that, I fear. And then is it going to be instant turnaround? Of course not. I mean, they're not going to be thinking, oh, yeah, let's get that assembly in yet this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's not going to be a thought.
Yeah, that's one of our concerns too. Is some of the stuff we do, they canceled straight up. They're not going to do their show at all this year because their season's over and they just don't have the wherewithal to do it.
Right.
Other people are moving their shows. We're seeing that, and then some people are just waiting to make a decision because their shows, a little bit later, May and June even.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a waiting game. But the bigger fear that I have is just what does life look like when we come out of this?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah.
But what are you doing to stay positive?
Well, that's the hardest part too, is you don't know. So you just don't know. So I'm gonna go fishing.
Yeah.
They haven't said I can't.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I just know I already work in a job where I'm everyone's friend for 45 minutes or an hour, and then they're all gone. So I spend so much time by myself that I go to the Y and just take a class with other people just so I can get some social interaction, and that's gone.
Right.
So I gotta learn to love myself.
How many times can I have you on the show?
I would come back.
Right. Part 2 with Dan Kirk.
That's right.
So, both you and I have worked out of our home, or for a large part of our lives. For me, certainly in the last 10 years, when I'm not out doing a job, just like you when you're not out performing, we work at home. So what advice do you have for people that are now living a new normal?
Wow, advice from the juggler. or advice from a fisherman, either way. A juggling fisherman, advice. Get along with your spouse.
Yeah. Yep. Has that been a challenge at all?
Not yet, but I'm always on edge when she walks into my office. It's like, why are you going in my office? Because I have piles and it's organized chaos. So, but she's not digging in a pile or anything. But I have to know. It's like, what are you in there for? What do you want? Can I get it? I'll get it.
Yeah, I know for us, just being on edge overall, being uncertain of the future and what's going on is, certainly made me on edge. And, Kimberly and I are used to working together. But in all fairness, her office is upstairs. My office is downstairs. I've worked from home and or been self-employed my entire life, as you have, for all of your adult life, right?
Yeah, since mid-20s.
Yeah. So any advice? So now people that never have worked from home are now working from home. Any advice for, what works for you?
To get up at a regular hour, preferably by 7 a.m. and actually get ready for work. So I go in, I'm a guy, so I need a whole.
5 minutes.
I say I take 30 minutes in the bathroom, but 20 minutes is just sitting on the toilet reading. The other 10 is getting ready. So
that's how you get coronavirus.
Yeah. So I get ready. I get up. I get ready, and then I have a dedicated workspace.
Yeah.
So.
Do you log your hours?
I do not log my hours. I allow myself to be interrupted very easily, which isn't necessarily a good or bad thing, but I do. I'm easily distracted. I'm a juggler, so I have a program now where I can write in, on my computer, type in a to-do list, and I try to keep it safe. Can I put it off till tomorrow? Does it have to be done today? So I can prioritize stuff and click things off. So that definitely helps.
Yeah.
Definitely helps. Yep.
I've again self-employed my whole life, had to set my own schedule, and I don't know. I think I'm kind of a freak in nature because it's never been a struggle for me. I work well with deadlines. I work a little better if I have a deadline. That helps a lot. But I will sleep in until I wake up.
Yeah.
I'm really 80 years old, so I think it's worked out pretty good for me. Good for 80. I'm a young 80.
A young 80.
Yeah, but I think different things work for different people, and but having some kind of structure. So for me, I feel guilty if I haven't logged the hours. So I actually have an app that when I go down to work, I log in. And if I take a break, or if I use the restroom, or if I get a personal phone call, I log out, then I log back in, and then at the end of the year, I look at the number of hours.
Yeah.
You know, and this is what determines if I get a vacation or not. But, you know, that's what works for me. But I think the bottom line is, as people that are working from home, there's a lot of distractions, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, you got the PlayStation in the other room, you got the TV, you got the pet or the, you know, kids or, you know, just the scenery. Maybe you got a project around the house you want to do.
Right.
So speaking of stuff in your house, tell me about Bobber.
Bobber,
Yeah.
for those of you, no one would know that Bobber is not just a Bobber. Bobber's a dog. He's a Pomeranian Chihuahua mix who thinks he should have the attention all the time.
Yeah.
Because Susan was rubbing my back today because I got, you know, shoulder issues, and Bobber's like, no, I think you should be touching me more again, where he comes in between the two of us. Yeah.
Could she do like one hand
Yeah.
to each, or is that not good enough?
Well, no, it was if Bobber would have positioned himself so I could touch him, then he would be like. But
yeah.
he's just laying there looking up at us like, come on, let's go here. What's going on?
Yeah, it's back touching time.
Yeah. But he's the sweetest, nicest dog that'll ever bite you.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people. Yeah, he's so cute.
Looks like the Taco Bell dog, right?
A little bit. Yeah, the same colors, and yeah, his Spanish is really bad though.
And the name, of course.
Bobber, well, two different reasons.
Okay.
When we got him, it was I got to name him. So that was pretty cool, but I didn't name him right away. I waited about a week to see what might work, and I was thinking a fishing name, like should I name him Rap or Rapala or Jig or Jigs or something, but whenever we would come home, he would always bounce up and down. So it was like, Bobber, Bobber going down, plus it's a fishing term, and he's bouncing around. It's like, yeah, Bobber, and as soon as we called him Bobber, he knew it was his name.
Oh, nice.
So it's so cool, yeah.
That worked out well. Yeah, I've met Bobber. He's a good little dog.
He is good. He'll bark at you a lot when you first show up, but then he'll want to be your best friend. So
Yeah. What's your hope with this whole coronavirus and what's going on?
Well, to have it get over as soon as possible, and I guess the real hope would be that people don't get sick and they can come up with a solution to the problem without having a lot of people dying over it.
Yeah.
So that would really be the best.
In your entire life, have you ever been through anything like this?
No, I've always been able to get toilet paper whenever I went shopping up until now.
That leads me to my question. Did you hoard or didn't you hoard?
I did not hoard. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
You know, and then when people start freaking out about it, it's like, why? They're still gonna make it, right? right? They're still gonna make it, right?
All I'm saying is I'm counting the sheets before, after you leave.
I heard Festival has it right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Susan actually found some at Woodman's yesterday, so I just picked up two 4-packs, and we're like, well, we're fine.
Yeah. So we felt like we stayed ahead of the curve a little bit here. I don't know why. We weren't like super paranoid or anything, but, Kimberly said, hey, this stuff's going on in China. It's probably going to be coming here, and what they're kind of saying is, in China, they have to, they're isolated, so it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And early on, some of the doctors were saying, you really should be prepared to have 2 weeks worth of supplies. So Kimberly kind of did some meal prepping and planning, and so she says, well, let's go out and get 2 weeks worth of groceries. Because we usually go to the grocery store like every 2-3 days, just buying fresh produce and whatever we're going to eat for the next couple days. So this was a little different. Now, of course, growing up, that's how we always did it. You went shopping when payday came, right?
Sure.
You shop for 2 weeks, and then I have fond memories of going with my mom and sometimes my other siblings and going to the grocery store, pushing the cart and getting stuff.
Yeah.
And then the long, bringing all the bags in, and and it was a whole thing, and that was for a family of 6. But at any rate, so we go to the store, and I said, well, we should get toilet paper too, and she goes, why? And I said, well, 2 weeks, you said, right? We're down to like 1 pack. She goes, well, I think we'll be okay. And I said, well, 2 weeks though? Do you? And she goes, okay, let's pick some up. So we picked some up. We didn't hoard it, we didn't stockpile it, but we definitely got what we, I'd say probably more than what we would need if we're still able to get some, right?
Yeah.
So sorry, I keep looking down. I get little buzzes and notifications, and I just making sure that the stream's working and stuff. So anyway, I felt like we kind of stayed at the top of the curve, and then that was about 2 weeks before things really started going downhill, and the panics and stuff. But during those 2 weeks, Kimberly put us on this plan of restocking. So instead of, she was cycling the food in so that at all times we still had 2 weeks.
All right.
So, that's really, fortunate. So we weren't in that mad panic, but we did end up going to Walmart. What night was it? Maybe Monday night. Doing our best to socially distance and, use, in fact, my hand's been getting kind of chapped.
We were just talking about that.
Oh,
yeah,
my
our hands
gosh.
are just always washing our hands. So
yeah, well, I think for me it's the hand sanitizer, because I only use it if I'm going out and touching stuff. And that's pretty rare that I'm doing that right now, but yeah, so it's getting anyway. So we went to Walmart there, and they were all out of toilet paper, and we weren't looking to buy any, but we looked down the row. All the bread was gone and stuff, but that's something they're going to continually work on in stock. And,
right.
Okay, well, let's wrap things up here. Anything you want to talk about that we haven't talked about yet?
I got a box.
Oh, well, let me just 1 second here. Let me get to the wider shot of you here. And I got a question for you.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
I don't know what's in the box. What's in the box? Let's see. Well, I shall show you what's in the box. These haven't been touched before. These are brand spanking new.
Coronavirus free, right here.
Coronavirus free. These are from, probably 7 years ago.
Yep.
I bought a dozen pairs of yellow shoes.
Right.
So, and I still have 7 pairs left.
Wow.
So
you're called the Juggler with the yellow shoes. That's what you're known as.
Yep.
And you've been an entertainer in this area for, almost 3 decades. And people know you. I ask people all the time when I'm out, if I'm talking about entertainment or something, I'm like, the Juggler with the yellow shoes, and oh yeah, I saw him.
What's in the box?
Nothing.
Magic trick.
Now your shoes might have coronavirus.
Yeah, now it's done. They're over.
And but why did you pick the name the Juggler with the yellow shoes?
That's a good question. That could be asked immediately when you see me. That's good. I was in the 80s. I was in the Fox River Mall and saw some Chuck Taylor's yellow men's shoe on sale because men don't wear yellow shoes.
Right.
And I thought, well, I'll buy those and wear them when I juggle. So it's easier to remember, hey, it's that guy with the yellow shoes than Dan Kirk.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, so and then it just kind of stuck, and I found that this LA Lakers shoe eventually, which is made for basketball and very comfortable and really nice to wear, and I found them at Shield. Now you can just go online, type in men's yellow shoes, you'll find a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But at that time when I bought those, they're still men's
there
yellow shoes.
There wasn't online,
no,
really.
There was a little online, but
right.
not like now, where you can do everything.
They weren't selling them in the AOL chat room?
No, they were not.
Did you do that? Did you go through that phase, the AOL chat rooms?
I did not.
Oh, I did.
I skipped that.
That was crazy. The martial art chat rooms were just moronic.
Yeah, I never got into those.
Yeah, hey, I didn't get a chance to share the pictures, so I wanted to throw up some pictures here.
Oh.
And the first one here is a friend of yours holding a walleye.
Yeah, that was his personal best at that time. That was just jigging on the Wolf River, near where the Rat River comes in.
Okay.
So that was, I believe, a spring fish.
Nice. And the next one here is, let's see. Next one is a woman holding a walleye. Who is this?
That is my lovely wife, Susan.
Susan.
With just a nice walleye that she caught. So.
Does she sometimes outfish you?
When I let her.
Better hope she's not watching.
Like on Sunday, I let her on. Was it Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. I let her outfish me. No, which is great. She doesn't get to fish nearly as often as me, and she caught first fish, biggest fish, most fish.
Yeah.
And that was good for me. I was all right with that. So.
All right, next one's of you.
With a fish?
That is right.
Oh, I think it's my biggest. My wife has a bigger walleye than me, and that's my Canadian walleye that I caught.
Yeah.
right below the boat on a jig.
Nice. Okay, so once again, let's hear website information, both for juggling and for the fishing.
All right, dankirk.com is my main website for performance, just DANKIRK.com. And I have my fishing website, which is fishingguidewisconsin.com. All one smushed together word. Yep, fishingguidewisconsin.com.
Nice. Anything else you can think of, Dan?
Oh my, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's great. Always great sitting down and talking with you. Sorry we can't be face-to-face, room-to-room here. Or we are room-to-room. But yeah, you and I go way back. In fact, when you were kind of talking about the martial arts, it reminded me, I had this visual memory of what you looked like back then, and the thing that stands out was your mustache.
Oh, yes.
I wish I would have pulled open a picture.
Well, maybe I should come back and we could just do old martial arts stories.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we...
I'd have pictures of back in the day when I looked like a used car salesman. So.
Oh, that's what you're going with.
Yeah,
used car salesman.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I know where you're going with it, but...
Yeah, yep. I think some people watching the stream, they might, hey, I recognize that guy. Yeah, those are, we go back a long ways. We've seen a lot of ups and downs in this time. This is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
Really, no doubt.
And I do want to mention to everybody watching too, I think to an extent I may have kind of made light of the coronavirus, but we're taking it serious. We think everybody needs to take it serious. Right now, humor and comedy and having a light spirit is really all we can do to keep from, feeling pretty bad. So in no way do we want to make light of the situation. So if that came out in any way, shape, or form, I don't think it did, but if it did, didn't mean it to. So I'm just going to do a quick little wrap up, Dan. So just hang tight right where you're at.
All right.
And give me just a second.
Keep smiling.
Keep smiling. Yep. All right. All right. So that was Dan Kirk, the juggler with the yellow shoes, and fishing with Captain Kirk. Did I say that right, Dan? We can still hear you, I think. Fishing with Captain. Fishing.
Yeah, Fishing Guide Wisconsin is the website, but yes, Fishing with Captain Kirk LLC.
Fishing with Captain Kirk LLC. Dan, I'm going to come back to you 1 second here. What if someone wanted to help you out? I mean, you're without gigs right now. What could someone do, even if it's something small? What could someone do right now, right this moment, to help you out?
Send money. No, just kidding.
Hey, I want in on that.
Well, you can check out YouTube stuff. I got YouTube stuff. It's always you can make comments on videos or maybe give me ideas of videos to make in these times where we can't do face-to-face stuff.
Yeah.
So Dan Kirk Juggler is my YouTube page.
Okay.
So I got stuff on there. You can find me on Facebook. The Juggler with the Yellow Shoes has a page on Facebook. You can follow that.
Yep.
Or just my personal page is Dan Kirk.
Yeah.
You can do that too.
Yeah, so if you're watching the stream, whether it's live or you're watching it in replay, please go ahead, like his Facebook page, check out his YouTube videos, post some comments on it, hit subscribe to his channel. All of these things will help him out because when you do that, then, like for example on Facebook, then your friends might see him. And it doesn't cost you anything. And right now, that's what we need. We just need to band together and do what we can to help each other out. All right, I'm going to just do a quick little show wrap here. Dan, hang tight, and we'll get you out of here then. Okay. Thanks for coming on the show, Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, I'm Lance Lewis, Champion Video. We were talking with Dan Kirk, Juggler with the Yellow Shoes, and really appreciate him spending some time here. We're gonna do a show like this probably every night. I don't know if we'll hit every night, but as much as we can. And I'm definitely planning on having Kimberly come on the show. She's going to tell you about hydroponics. I don't know if we're doing that tomorrow or the next night. She's been making her own food here and, having fresh lettuce on a daily basis. And she knows that it's not only fresh, but it's not tainted or anything like that. Not just coronavirus stuff, but you know what I'm saying. And also she's doing some kind of interesting things with 3D printing. And she might actually start making masks that she can donate to the hospital. So that'll be an interesting conversation. I got a bunch of other people I'd like to interview. If you would like to be interviewed on this show, just get a hold of me. You can reach out to us either through Facebook Messenger, or you can go to our website at championvideoonline.com. And then you can find our our contact information there. Give me a jingle. Love to hear from you. Love to have you on the show. And what you can do for me is hit subscribe to the channel, so that way you know when we're gonna do our next video, and it helps us when we get enough subscribes on the channel. Then it allows us to at some point monetize our channel. Hopefully I'll be back to work long before that has to happen, but hey, you don't know. So follow us on YouTube, give our Facebook page, Champion Video, a like, and if there's any kind of video services that you're in need of, we'd love to put our ring in the hat. Thanks for watching, and we will see you tomorrow night.